Most people believe that strength is measured by muscles, money, or titles. But if that were true, then why do we see powerful executives crumble under stress, or athletes lose everything the moment they face failure? The truth is, the strongest people are not those who appear unshakable on the outside, but those who have built resilience on the inside. You see, life will not ask for your permission before it tests you. It doesn't care about your comfort, your plans, or even your dreams. The world is full of rejection, criticism, failure, and unexpected hardship. And if your mind isn't tough enough, if it isn't prepared, then life will not just challenge you, it will break you. But here's the beauty of it. Mental toughness is not something you're born with. It's something you can build. Just like lifting weights strengthens the body, facing adversity with the right mindset strengthens the mind. And when you develop this kind of inner resilience, the world no longer has the power to break you. Instead, every challenge becomes fuel, every setback becomes a lesson, and every failure becomes a stepping stone. So the real question is not whether life will be hard, because it will. The real question is, will you build the strength to rise above it, or will you allow the world to break you? Life has a way of putting us through tests we never signed up for. Sometimes those tests come in the form of failure, sometimes in rejection, sometimes in loss. It might be losing a job, being criticized when you thought you gave your best, or facing unexpected circumstances that you could never prepare for. These moments feel unfair, and often they are. But here's the truth. Life does not test you to see if you are ready. Life tests you simply because it must, because growth requires friction. Without resistance, there is no strength. Without struggle, there is no resilience. And while we cannot choose whether or not life will test us, we can always choose how we respond. That choice is what separates those who break from those who grow. Think about a tree in a storm. The storm is brutal. It rips through branches, it bends the trunk, it pushes with all its force. The tree has no choice in facing the storm, but what it does have is the ability to bend without breaking. Over time, the tree develops stronger roots, deeper foundations, and a sturdier trunk. The storm does not decide the tree's fate. The response of the tree does. Human beings are no different. We are tested by circumstances beyond our control, but what defines us is how we use those tests to become stronger instead of weaker. Some people collapse under pressure. They let failure define them, rejection discourage them, or setbacks convince them they are not capable. And the more they let these experiences dictate their story, the more fragile they become. Others, however, take the exact same challenges and use them as fuel. They view rejection as redirection, failure as feedback, and setbacks as setups for a comeback. The difference is not in the world, not in the tests, not in fate. The difference lies in the mindset. It is easy to believe that life has singled us out when things get hard, but everyone faces trials. Even the most successful people have been through seasons of immense pain and difficulty. The reason they stand out is not because they were spared hardship, but because they chose to endure and grow through it. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was told she was not fit for television. Steve Jobs was fired from the very company he created. They faced storms that could have broken them. But instead, those tests became the very foundation for their resilience, their determination, and their eventual success. When you understand that the world will test you, you stop asking why me, and start asking what can I learn from this. You stop being surprised when life gets hard and start preparing yourself to meet it with strength. Tests are not punishments, they are opportunities. Every challenge is a mirror showing us who we are, and every choice we make in the face of that challenge determines who we become. So the next time life throws you into the fire, remember that the fire does not decide your future. You do. You can let it burn you into ashes, or you can let it forge you into steel. The test itself is not the end. The real power lies in how you respond, because that is what determines whether you break or whether you grow. We often admire people who seem unshakable in the face of adversity. They walk into a room with quiet confidence, they keep calm when everything falls apart, and they recover from setbacks as if they were never setbacks at all. It's tempting to believe that these people were simply born with some special quality, a gift of resilience that the rest of us lack. But that belief is a trap. Mental toughness is not something written in our DNA. It is not a privilege reserved for a chosen few. It is a skill, a discipline, something anyone can build if they are willing to do the work. Just as physical strength requires consistent training, mental toughness requires daily practice. A bodybuilder does not develop muscles by lifting weights once a month, and in the same way, a resilient mind does not appear by chance. It is shaped by the choices we make every day, how we talk to ourselves, how we respond to discomfort, how we interpret challenges. Each small decision is like a repetition in the gym of life. Avoid the workout, and the muscles never grow. Embrace it, and over time you develop a kind of inner strength that no storm can shake. Think about it. When you choose to get up early and face the day instead of hitting the snooze button, you are training your mind. When you push yourself through a task you dislike but know is necessary, you are training your mind. When you silence negative self-talk and replace it with words of encouragement, you are training your mind. Each of these actions seems small on its own, but together they build a foundation of resilience. Just like a muscle, the mind responds to resistance. The more you push it, the stronger it becomes. The mistake many people make is waiting for mental toughness to magically appear when life gets hard. They think that when a crisis arrives, they will somehow discover strength within themselves that has never been practiced before. But that is like expecting to run a marathon without ever training for it. When the test comes, you fall apart because you never prepared. Mental toughness must be cultivated long before the challenge arrives, so when adversity shows up, you're already ready. And here's the most empowering part. Mental toughness is always a choice. Every day, you are given the choice between the easy path and the hard path. The easy path avoids pain, avoids discomfort, avoids growth. The hard path faces it, embraces it, and learns from it. One path leads to fragility, the other to resilience. You may not get to choose the circumstances of your life, but you always get to choose your response. And that choice is what builds or breaks your mental strength. Consider the stories of those who have faced unimaginable hardship, yet emerged stronger. Soldiers who return from war zones with wisdom and clarity. Athletes who overcome devastating injuries to return to greatness. Individuals who rise out of poverty to build lives of meaning and influence. Their stories are not evidence of natural, born toughness. They are proof of trained toughness. They practiced discipline, perspective, and perseverance until those qualities became who they were. Mental toughness is not glamorous. It is not built in a single moment of triumph. It is built in the quiet, unseen decisions we make each day, choosing courage over comfort, persistence over quitting, hope over despair. It is built by treating failure not as a final verdict, but as valuable feedback. It is built by refusing to let emotions control your decisions, and instead letting your purpose guide your actions. When you begin to see mental toughness not as something mysterious, but as something you can practice, everything changes. Challenges stop being threats and start becoming opportunities to train. Obstacles stop being walls and start being weights to lift. And with each choice, with each repetition, you move closer to becoming the kind of person who can endure anything, adapt to anything, and rise from anything. Human nature craves comfort. We look for the soft bed, the easy routine, the path of least resistance. We convince ourselves that comfort means safety, that avoiding difficulty means protecting ourselves. But the reality is that comfort weakens us. It lulls us into complacency, it shields us from growth, and it tricks us into believing we are strong when, in truth, we are fragile. Resilience is not born in moments of ease. It is born in the fire of discomfort. Strength is not built by avoiding struggle, but by embracing it. Consider what happens to the body when it is never challenged. A person who never moves, never lifts, never stretches slowly becomes weaker. Muscles shrink, bones lose density, and energy fades. Comfort may feel good, but it deteriorates the body. The same principle applies to the mind. If we never face rejection, never risk failure, never step outside the boundaries of what we know, our mental muscles begin to atrophy. We become less capable of handling life's inevitable storms because we never trained in the rain. Challenge is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also the builder of resilience. Every time you step into something difficult, you send a message to yourself, I am capable of more. Every time you endure discomfort, you expand the limits of what you can handle. It is not the challenge itself that makes you stronger, but the choice to lean into it instead of run away. Comfort whispers, stay here, it's safe. Growth whispers back, step forward, it's worth it. History shows us countless examples of individuals who became extraordinary not because they avoided hardship, but because they endured it. Think of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years in prison yet emerged with a vision strong enough to change a nation. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb, each failure strengthening his determination rather than breaking it. Their resilience was not born in moments of ease, but in moments of immense challenge. When we surround ourselves with too much comfort, we actually create fragility. This is why people who grow up shielded from difficulty often crumble at the first sign of struggle. They were never allowed to fall, so they never learned how to stand back up. Shielding ourselves from discomfort may protect us temporarily, but it weakens us in the long run. The most resilient people are those who willingly step into challenges, not because they enjoy suffering, but because they understand the power of training their mind and spirit in the face of adversity. You cannot build a tough mind sitting on the sidelines of life. You build it by stepping into the arena, by confronting fear, by doing the thing that scares you. You build it by failing publicly, by hearing no, and moving forward anyway, by taking risks that stretch your capacity. Each time you step into the discomfort zone, you prove to yourself that you can handle more than you thought. That proof becomes the foundation of resilience. Comfort, on the other hand, is deceptive. It feels good in the moment but leaves you unprepared when real challenges arrive. Imagine a soldier who has only ever trained in perfect weather, with perfect conditions against imaginary enemies. The moment he faces a real battlefield, he collapses because he never practiced under pressure. Life is the same. If you only live in comfort, reality will break you. If you embrace challenge, reality will strengthen you. So, the choice is clear. You can stay in the false safety of comfort and grow weaker every day, or you can choose the discomfort of growth and become unbreakable. Resilience is not a gift. It is earned, and its currency is challenge. When most people encounter a setback, their first instinct is to see it as a dead end. A failed exam feels like the end of academic potential. A rejected job application feels like the end of a career path. A broken relationship feels like the end of love itself. But setbacks are not endings. They are invitations. They are life's way of asking, how badly do you want this? How strong are you willing to become in order to reach it? What breaks one person can be the very thing that builds another, and the difference is in how we interpret the moment. Setbacks sting, they hurt our pride, they damage our confidence, and they make us doubt ourselves. But beneath that pain is an opportunity for growth that no easy victory could ever provide. A win makes us feel good, but a loss makes us rethink, reevaluate, and reimagine. A win confirms what we already know, but a loss shows us what we must learn. Setbacks refine us in ways that success never could. They strip away our illusions, test our resilience, and give us the chance to rebuild stronger than before. Take the example of Thomas Edison. When asked how he felt about failing thousands of times before inventing the light bulb, he said, "I didn't fail. I just found 10,000 ways that won't work." To most people, those failures would have been an unbearable series of defeats. To Edison, they were simply part of the process, an invitation to keep experimenting until the breakthrough came. The setbacks became stepping stones. They weren't reasons to quit. They were reasons to continue. Or consider athletes who suffer devastating injuries. For many, such a moment ends their careers, but for some, the injury becomes the spark that drives them to come back even stronger. They train harder, they rebuild smarter, and they return with a resilience that sets them apart. Their setback becomes their story, the very thing that transforms them into legends. The key lies in shifting perspective. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can I gain from this?" Instead of seeing the wall as something blocking you, see it as something forcing you to climb higher. A setback is not the universe rejecting you. It is the universe redirecting you. Every closed door makes room for another to open. Every failure creates space for growth that success alone could never offer. Of course, rising from a setback is not easy. It requires courage to face the disappointment, discipline to learn the lesson, and determination to keep moving forward. Quitting is always easier in the short term, but quitting robs you of the gift that a setback carries within it, the gift of transformation. Every time you choose to rise instead of retreat, you teach yourself that you are stronger than circumstances, that you can bend without breaking. The truth is, success is built on the foundation of setbacks. Behind every great story of triumph is a series of failures that could have ended it. Walt Disney was fired for lacking creativity. J.K. Rowling faced multiple rejections before Harry Potter was published. Steve Jobs was thrown out of his own company before returning to lead it to glory. Their setbacks did not end their journeys, they defined them. So the next time life knocks you down, see the setback for what it truly is. Not a reason to quit, but an invitation to rise. It is not the world telling you to stop, it is the world asking you to grow. And every time you accept that invitation, you step closer to becoming the strongest version of yourself. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions we experience. It stops people from chasing their dreams, from taking risks, from speaking up, from stepping forward. Fear convinces us that danger is bigger than it is, that failure is final, that embarrassment is unbearable. Left unchecked, fear becomes a prison. But a tough mind does not eliminate fear, it transforms it. Instead of letting fear hold you back, you can use it as energy to move forward. Instead of shrinking, you can let it sharpen your focus. Fear becomes fuel when your mindset shifts from "this might break me" to "this might build me." The same is true for failure. Most people avoid failure like it is the worst thing that can happen. They see it as evidence of weakness, as proof they were not good enough. But failure is not the opposite of progress. It is part of progress. Every failure carries information. Every failure reveals a blind spot, a missing skill, or a new path. A tough mind does not crumble when it fails. It collects the lessons and moves forward with more clarity and wisdom than before. Think of how athletes train. They push themselves to the point of exhaustion, often failing in practice, missing shots, losing races, falling short. But each failure in practice makes them sharper in competition. The failures fuel their growth. The same principle applies in life. When you develop mental toughness, failure stops being a scar and becomes a stepping stone. You stop saying, "I lost," and start saying, "I learned." Fear, too, becomes different when filtered through a resilient mind. Fear of speaking in public becomes the fuel to prepare harder and deliver with energy. Fear of losing a job becomes the motivation to sharpen your skills and expand your opportunities. Fear of rejection becomes the push to build confidence in who you are, regardless of others' approval. Fear stops being an enemy and becomes a teacher, guiding you toward the areas where growth is possible. History is filled with people who turned fear into power and failure into progress. Rosa Parks was afraid when she refused to give up her seat, but her courage transformed fear into a movement. Elon Musk faced multiple failed rocket launches that could have ended his career, but each failure became progress toward breakthroughs in space technology. Their toughness was not in the absence of fear or failure, but in their refusal to surrender to them. A tough mind understands that both fear and failure are unavoidable. You cannot live a meaningful life without them. If you try to avoid fear, you avoid opportunity. If you try to avoid failure, you avoid growth. But when you toughen your mind, you reinterpret them. Fear is not a wall, it is a compass pointing toward what matters most. Failure is not a dead end, it is a detour that gets you closer to the right path. This transformation is not automatic. It requires deliberate practice. It means catching yourself when fear whispers, "Stop," and instead asking, "What is this fear telling me about what I value?" It means reframing failure not as the end of the story, but as the middle of the process. It means training your thoughts daily so they serve you instead of sabotage you. When your mind is tough, you no longer waste energy running from fear or hiding from failure. You face them directly, take what they offer, and move forward stronger. That is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary results. They don't live without fear and failure. They live beyond them. The world has its own way of teaching lessons, and those lessons are rarely kind. Life will hand you rejection slips, broken relationships, financial struggles, health scares, and failures you never saw coming. If your mind is untrained, these experiences will crush you. They will shape your beliefs in ways you never intended. They will convince you that you are not good enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. And once those beliefs take root, they become harder to remove than any external obstacle. This is why training your mind is not optional. It is essential, because if you don't do the work to build resilience, the world will do it for you. And its method is brutal. Training your mind means preparing before the storm hits. It means developing the strength to remain calm when chaos surrounds you. It means learning how to control your thoughts instead of letting your thoughts control you. Just as soldiers train for battle long before they step onto the field, you must train your mind before life tests you. Waiting until the pressure comes is too late. By then, the world has already decided how much you can handle. The danger of leaving your mind untrained is that the world will fill it with negativity. Society constantly bombards us with messages of comparison, fear, and doubt. Social media tells you that you are not successful enough, not attractive enough, not doing enough. The news tells you the world is dangerous and hopeless. People around you may project their own fears and failures onto your life. If you do not consciously train your mind, these voices will become your truth. You will carry beliefs that are not even yours, but borrowed from the harshness of the world. But when you train your mind, you create a filter. Instead of absorbing negativity, you process it with resilience. Instead of being paralyzed by fear, you are motivated by it. Instead of letting failure define you, you define what failure means. You take back control of the narrative. The world may try to break you, but a trained mind bends and adapts instead of shattering. Training your mind is not a single grand act, it is a daily discipline. It might be the practice of gratitude in the morning, reminding yourself of what you already have instead of obsessing over what you lack. It might be journaling to clarify your thoughts and release the weight of unspoken worries. It might be meditation, prayer, or focused silence to strengthen your control over your inner dialogue. It might be reading and learning to expand your perspective instead of shrinking into ignorance. These small acts compound into mental strength, just as daily exercise builds physical strength. Think of it this way: if you were to leave your body completely untrained, gravity would still pull, time would still age, and weakness would still come. In the same way, if you leave your mind untrained, the world will still test it, time will still challenge it, and negativity will still invade it. You cannot stop the process, but you can decide the outcome. Some of the greatest figures in history were not the smartest or the most gifted, but they had trained minds. They endured criticism without breaking. They faced obstacles without surrendering. They turned impossible odds into victories because their inner world was prepared, even when the outer world was hostile. Their stories remind us that success belongs not to the fragile, but to the fortified. If you don't train your mind, the world will take over and do it for you. But its training is harsh, cruel, and unforgiving. Your choice is simple. Either you shape your mind intentionally, or the world shapes it carelessly, and the cost of leaving it untrained is far greater than the effort of preparing it yourself.